Allow me to thank His Excellency Minister Arrojo and indeed the people of Rio de Janeiro for welcoming us to this marvelous city on the occasion of the third formal meeting of the BRICS Ministers of Foreign Affairs and International Relations. Rio de Janeiro is, in the words of the famed Caetano Veloso, the city of 1,000 splendors, the home of samba, and the heart of Brazil. And I'm honored to be attending this meeting and to take up the opportunity to renew our cooperation and to reaffirm our commitment to the BRICS strategic cooperation as we continue our work towards further solidifying the bonds of friendship that bind us in this unique formation. Each year, as we build our progress in BRICS, we strive to ensure continuity in the thematic approach to our work in an effort to not only safeguard stability and progress, but also to guarantee the best possible quality outcomes for BRICS over the long term. Our collective journey to address the myriad global political, economic, and social challenges that characterize our world today requires us to always reflect on the course that we have traversed thus far, in order for us to chart the best path toward the realization of our shared objectives. As partners in BRICS, we have awakened our responsibility to address the developmental challenges that face each of our nations, including all the countries of the broader global South. The path we have followed gives expression to our collective will to address the fundamental question of marginalization in the global governance system. As South Africa, we have taken our cue from those who have led before us to advocate and lay claim to the quintessential human condition of belonging. We draw upon the exemplary leadership of Chief Albert Luthuli, the first president of the African National Congress, when he called for good relations amongst nations, characterized by peace and friendship. It's only when we direct our energies toward this endeavor that we will achieve the state of belonging that all people seek. Excellencies, as the BRICS partners, we have from inception sought to realize this inclusive objective. We are, however, confronted today with tendencies toward ultra-nationalistic behavior, anti-globalization sentiments, and arbitrary unilateral actions. The contemporary global political and economic situation is setting an alarming tone. Attempts at brokering international peace and security agreements to mitigate against the proliferation of conflict must not be allowed to be undermined by these tendencies. It is through consistent demonstrable actions and commitment to the principles of international law and multilateral diplomacy that we as the BRICS can leverage the United Nations system as an avenue to address these challenges. South Africa, during its third term as a non-permanent member on the United Nations Security Council, is committed to championing the principle of multilateralism and respect for the centrality of the United Nations Charter. Whilst respecting the processes of the Security Council, South Africa also seeks to ensure that due consideration is given to African solutions for African challenges. South Africa is a strong proponent of the peaceful settlements of disputes through diplomatic means and holds the view that a high premium should be placed on preventative diplomacy in addressing conflicts and their root causes. We are cognizant that development cannot happen in the absence of peace and stability. In 2020, we will assume the chairship of the African Union. This comes at an opportune moment for our continent, coinciding with the African Union's objective to silence the guns in Africa by 2020, and along with the privilege we hold of serving in the United Nations Security Council. With respect to Africa's development, our continent has made impressive progress in addressing its economic and social challenges. With the support of the governments that are gathered here, much has been achieved. When the guns go silent, the necessary financial resources will be redirected toward infrastructure development, education and technology, all of which are required for economic growth. It is for this reason that peace, stability, the strengthening of democracy and democratic institutions must be prioritized. The guns were silenced in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, South Africa, and other parts of the continent. We dare not lose hope about those areas still plagued by the scourge of conflict. Through its expressions of support for Africa's infrastructure and development projects, as contained in the NEPAD programs and in the objectives of Agenda 2063, the BRICS Forum, as a partner to Africa, can play a meaningful role in contributing towards stability and prosperity on the African continent. We believe we assume chairship of the African Union at a time when the continent is reinvigorated with the spirit of renewal. Members of the African Union have recently unanimously endorsed the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which seeks to spur intra-African trade and the economic development and growth of the continent. As the African Union operationalizes the Free Trade Agreement, we trust that all our BRICS partners will continue in their support for African development and industrialization. Excellencies, when our 5 nations first came together, we were united in our commitment to restructure the global political, economic, and financial architecture, to render it more balanced, more representative, and more equitable. In this regard, a more pronounced effort must be made to reform the global governance system. As we continue as BRICS to support multilateralism in the global political and economic governance system, we must also advocate for greater representation for Africa and the global South. This goes hand in hand with acknowledging the centrality of organizations that have a multilateral remit. It is disconcerting that despite the progress made in these domains, Africa remains on the periphery of decision-making in most of these organizations. We believe BRICS is in a powerful position to be a voice of inclusion, of change, and to advocate for a more progressive world order defined by cooperation. It is against this backdrop that South Africa welcomes Brazil's commitment to ensuring continuity for BRICS and its existing program of work. Throughout our more than decade-long cooperation and partnership, we have attained numerous milestones. The establishment and subsequent operationalization of the new development bank is a poignant reminder of the success of collective action and its cumulative catalytic influence on the lives of ordinary people. As we build upon the existing BRICS architecture, I urge us not to lose sight of the operative word that has characterized our engagement. That word is cooperation. I also urge us to keep in mind those for whom we are here. We are not here merely for an organization. We are here for millions of people who expect us to deliver on our pledges. Through a multitude of tracks, we have enhanced people-to-people relations. We are nurturing inter-BRICS research. We are bringing our youth, women academics, and artists together. And all of these have their individual and common economic spin-offs. South Africa supports the Chair's proposed theme for the 11th BRICS Summit, that of economic growth for an innovative future. We commend the Chair for an invigorating BRICS agenda for 2019. The focus on maternal health and the human milk banks is especially welcome as it ties in with South Africa's focus on health during its chairship of BRICS in 2018. We further welcome the focus on trade and investment as a means to aid us in navigating the current global economic environment. We are pleased that the critical issue of new technologies, of innovation, and the future of work will also be included in our deliberations. The BRICS Partnership for the New Industrial Revolution, established in 2018 and endorsed at the 10th BRICS Summit, affords our 5 countries an opportunity to drive the developmental agenda and thus usher in a future of which we can be proud. I would also like to echo the sentiments of my colleague, Mr. Wang Yi, concerning the summoning power that BRICS has built through its outreach activity as part of the summit, and would urge that a model be found which would be of satisfaction to our chair at present, so that we don't lose this characteristic which is so significant for BRICS. In conclusion, allow me to congratulate my Brazilian counterpart on Brazil's excellent execution of its chairship of our organization. It is my sincere wish that our partnership will continue to challenge the status quo where it is not benefiting the masses of our people, and that we will constantly seek justice, equity, and development in order to ensure a better life for all humanity. We wish to assure Brazil of our commitment to actively participate in all BRICS activities under their chairship, and to work together with all our partners to ensure tangible and substantive summit outcomes. And we thank the chairperson for his active support. Obrigada, and thank you.